of pondering if I'm just yet or not, but man, takes a while.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live. Yay! What's up, everybody? How are you all doing? Welcome to another one of our awesome New Zealand travel questions, when we basically take all your questions live and help you plan an epic trip to New Zealand. It is 8 o'clock New Zealand time in the morning, so we're just waking up with you, and thank you very much for already being here.
Awesome. If this is the first time we're meeting on YouTube, we are Robin and Laura, and we're the team behind BackpackerGuide.NZ, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide and basically covers everything to do with traveling in New Zealand, from all the fun stuff like where are the awesome places to go, what are the awesome activities to do, all the way down to that nitty-gritty practical stuff like visas and sorting out working holidays, visitor visas, all that sort of thing. We cover all of that on BackpackerGuide.NZ, so make sure to check that out. But if you do have any specific questions regarding your own travels in New Zealand, then right here is the perfect place to come to our New Zealand live Q&A session, which we do every single Sunday, 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So if you're wondering what time in the world that is for you guys, let me get my trusty little times right here. So
trusty little
times. So if you are from the US, that time is actually on a Saturday, 2 p.m. EST or 11 a.m. PST. If that is in Europe, so UK and France, that's Saturday, 7 p.m. or around about 7 p.m. You know, there's a few different time zones across Europe. And then finally in India, that is around 12:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So sorry, India, that is a little bit of a weird time for you guys, but it is hard to please everyone. And also have the energy to do this for ourselves.
Yeah.
So throughout the week, we do gather questions from you guys through our various different social media networks. So if you do have a question throughout the week and you want us to cover it in our next live Q&A video, all you got to do is, well, first of all, you can come to any of our videos on YouTube and type your question in the comments on any videos, and we'll add that to our pool of questions. You can also come to our Facebook page, which is Backpacker Guide NZ, and you can give us a private message with your question. Alternatively, you can come to us on Twitter, which is at BPK Guide, and ask your question there. And finally, on Instagram, where we are at BackpackerGuide.NZ, you can send us a private message with your question there. So
I just have a quick announcement for everybody, though. I'm having a bit of an issue right now with YouTube, or I can't have the live chat how we can usually see it very easily. So you'll have to bear with us. It's going to be a little slower on the live chat for us. You know that usually I like to chat with you on the live chat when Laura talks, and vice versa. It might be a little bit slower, but let's take the time to say hi to everybody. There's heaps of you guys today.
Oh, nice one.
Oi, Baf, welcome. We have a question from you. I know we are going to go through it very soon. Crossbones, hi, how are you doing? Good morning.
Hello.
And we have a question from you as well. You guys send us your question ahead of time, so we'll cover that as well. Elvin, kia ora. There's been a wee while. You didn't show up in the last couple of weeks. How have you been doing? Brandon 101 was here last week. Federico Marquez, he's going to New Zealand on March the 13th. That's really, really soon.
Yeah,
you must be really excited. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Shabir says that ask us the best place to live in New Zealand. Man, you're going to have to give us a little bit more context about that, because
depends what you define as best.
Yeah,
what are you looking for?
What do you like? Tell us what you like, and then we can help. Leon, yeah. Leanne's going to New Zealand next week. Oh shit, that is soon, Leanne. You must be stoked. You must be so excited. Javan and says that he's she's watching from the Cathleen's. She actually sent us a message and say she's at the Whistling Frog.
At the Whistling Frog, yeah, we've stayed there.
Yeah, video
at the holiday park.
Yeah. All right. Iber still can't pronounce it, but Yo soy Octa. And probably from somewhere Spanish, I'm guessing. Yeah. Laura Prez, yes, we do have your question as well. Michael from Hawaii, I remember where you are. Aloha, Michael. All right, guys, we are going to get started with a question that we got from Jan, actually, which was actually something a little bit more personal. We don't really often do that, but on Facebook, Jan asked there, what camera gear do you guys use? I'm sure a lot of people will be interested to see a YouTube video of it. I'm looking into getting some for my adventures. Awesome. So what camera did we use when we filmed New Zealand's biggest gap year? And what camera are we using now? Did we like them? Did we not like them? So we're going to go through our cameras quickly, and then we go dive into New Zealand travel questions. So the first thing that we've been using, you guys seen that we try to experiment a lot with 360 cameras. And so we bought a Theta 360. We bought that quite a few years ago, actually. It was the S version. Apparently, that was the best version at the time. It's pretty shit for filming. I'll be honest with you guys. It is not great for filming, but it is really good for pictures. So we took quite a lot of pictures. We did some little diaporama, like you guys saw us doing that well, basically on this channel. It's just it's fun to play around with. I think it's more gadget-like, so we decided not to use that too much anymore. Yeah. So yeah, actually, we have to sell this thing.
Yeah, we should sell it. Maybe someone on trade. Does anybody want a 360 camera? Let us know.
So then we also bought GoPros. Obviously, everybody has GoPros. Now, back when we were filming New Zealand's biggest gap here, we actually bought GoPro's Hero 4. The reason why we took the Hero 4 is because it has an LCD screen with a touch screen at the back. Now, all the GoPros have that nowadays, but it was the first one that had that. And because there was other GoPros that came out after that, so it made the Hero 4 really cheap. So we bought them secondhand, and you allowed us to buy like 2 or 3 of them, which may give us a lot of peace of mind. No, it was like $200 for each or something like that. It was really cheap. If we lose it or break it, it was totally fine. And also, if we actually ended up having 2 or 3, we get multiple angles because, sometimes you saw us. We had like, let's say, the 30-minute boat trip to make a whole video for you guys about it. So in 30 minutes, you need to find as many shots as possible. So having multiple cameras placed around the boat, for example, was very, very helpful. Yeah. Now, for the GoPro Hero 4, we used a gimbal, which is kind of those tools that have like 3 different motors that stabilize the camera. So when we were walking and everything, it kind of still looked smooth. I paired that with a plastic stick, actually, that kind of like...
It was a pipe from like a hardware store or something. Yeah.
So I made something that works with the hole, with the button and everything. So I kind of built it myself. And it was pretty handy. I had the most epic selfie stick with a big gimbal and everything in front. Now, that gave amazing stabilization. We were really happy with it, but GoPro came out with their Hero 7 that has like stabilization within the camera, and it is good. It's not as good, right? But it's good enough for what we're doing. So we decided to get rid of all of that because you had batteries, you had like it wasn't waterproof and everything. Now just having the GoPro is just a bit easier. So that's what we did for the GoPro. So now we upgraded to this one. For the DSLR, Laura had what did you have?
This was a D3300. So this was an entry level DSLR, meaning that it's like one of the cheapest Nikons that you can get. And the reason behind that, again, is because we were doing so many different activities and there was always the risk of breaking it. And with the DSLR I had 2 different lenses for them. One was like a shorter lens for the close-up pictures, and one was I used mainly for wildlife. So that was a longer lens, up to 200 millimeter lens. So I did break a couple of lenses on the trip that we did, our 365 days. So I was definitely pleased that I actually got quite a cheap camera. But the good thing about DSLRs is that they still like even this cheaper one, it still really produces like pretty amazing photos, and that still look pretty professional as well. I find it pretty there's a lot of cameras out there that are thousands and thousands of dollars, but I wouldn't have been able to justify buying like those really expensive cameras, and especially when you're doing so many different things and there's always the risk of breaking it, and in the end you probably don't want to even take your camera anywhere because there would be the risk of breaking it. So but yeah, the Nikon D3300, that was definitely a really good one for me to use for that throughout that whole year that we did traveling around. But yeah, let's move on. And then
drone-wise, so when we were traveling around New Zealand, we had a Phantom 3. I mean, we're still traveling around New Zealand, but when we did New Zealand's biggest gap year, we had the Phantom 3. The same process than the GoPro. There was some new Phantom that came out, so we made the Phantom 3 really cheap. And like that, in case we lose it or break it, well, that was much easier. Now we upgraded to a Mavic Air, which is very small and very easy to use. Now, the thing with drone is that it costs a lot of money. Not the item itself. I mean, yes, it does, but the flying the drone around, you need to get permission, you need to buy permits for every dockland and everything like that. So we don't necessarily advise to travel in New Zealand with a drone. It was very handy for us because we do that kind of almost commercially, you know what I mean? So it was very handy for us, but I wouldn't advise actually going for that again. Yeah. We actually ended up using it much less than what we thought we were using it, and but you know, it gives that different angle, and it was fun from time to time. So we don't regret it, but it's just kind of like, is it really something that travelers should travel with around New Zealand? Not really. There's so much regulation, and we do have plenty of videos about that. So make sure you check out the link below and the articles below. But yeah, that's basically what we were using for our camera gear. Now, the thing that usually goes with camera is tripod. And that's going to be the last tips that we're going to give you about that today, is get cheap tripods. We actually decided when we started New Zealand's biggest gap year, when we did 365 days around New Zealand doing 365 activities, that we're going to be breaking stuff, right? We did break a ton of GoPro's accessories. I mean, we had boxes and boxes of GoPro's accessories, and we broke a ton of those. But we broke camera lenses. We broke, you know, like a lot. But tripod is the thing that you break the most. And buying $300 tripod is absolutely ludicrous in my mind.
Yeah.
So we bought like $10, $30 tripods. And yes, we broke 7 of them. But it didn't really matter because that was already much, much cheaper. And we still always had backup. I could repair them with the piece of the other one. So it was so much easier to do it that way. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. Now, if you guys want to see, have a quick insight of how many gears we were traveling around and everything, think about any video of us hiking. Our entire backpack, especially if you see the orange backpack as well, the one that I usually carry, all of that is usually cameras and drone and stuff like that, right? Yeah. We basically carried nothing else than just that and some water for ourselves. And yeah, we were roughing it for everything else just because we had to have all the cameras. And one of the really funny video is when we go to Stewart Island.
Yeah, I was thinking of that one.
Yeah. If you see us going to Stewart Island, you see us actually carrying all the boxes and everything. So we go there for like 3 nights. Everything, we actually change clothes once only. So everything we're carrying is just camera. So just if you want to have an idea, go to our YouTube channel, check out the Stewart Island video, and see basically it's a little behind the scene basically. Yeah. See what it was like for us. And yeah, remember for the 3 or 4 days we were on Stewart Island, we changed clothes once. Everything else was just cameras. So yeah, it was quite cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it for that. If you want some more information about all that, we have plenty of links below. And if you have questions of your own, make sure to give it to us right now in the live chat below in the comments. I see the live chat being really, really
Spanish filled.
Yeah, Spanish filled. Yeah, exactly. Actually, there is someone that say hi from Costa Rica. So yeah, there is not just Spanish, but yeah. I think they speak Spanish in Costa Rica. Oh, just tell me if it's Portuguese or Spanish. I hope I'm right. All right, let me go quickly through the live chat. So again, guys, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slow right now with the live chat because we can't see it from afar. And so let's speak all Anuj, good morning. Still planning your trip? Federico already said hi. Igor, good morning, Igor. How are you doing? Sylvain Forest, very, very French Canadian name. I like it. Mm-hmm. He's been traveling in 15th of March and planning many activities. Should we book in advance? Should I book in advance in March? It depends which activity.
I mean, try not to leave it till really the last minute. Once you are you sort of been like, okay, we are going to go there for this date, just I would book it, because March is kind of a little bit of a funny season where it's just at the end of summer, so there's still quite a lot of people around, but it is moving on into autumn. So yeah, I would still book where you can and then chance it everywhere else.
Yeah, if you can book it ahead of time, definitely do it, because that will give you peace of mind. That's for sure. But if you do value more your flexibility, maybe just chance it, and you'll see how it goes. All right, cool. So while you guys are getting warmed up with some questions, we're actually going to go with a question that we got on YouTube from Oibaf, which I know is here live. Say hi, Oibaf. I know you're around. And it's about visas. I know that a lot of you guys have about visas. So let's say you really like New Zealand and you want to stay a little bit longer. All right, so on YouTube, Oibaf1420 asks, I have a question too. could you provide a quick overlook from the different visa types in your next Q&A? I am interested in migrating to New Zealand, and this might interest some of your followers too. Thank you for thinking about our followers. I like it. All right, so there is many different type of visas in New Zealand, but the first thing that I want to say is that there is a law in New Zealand that states that you can only get immigration advice from a registered immigration advisor, right? So if you're not registered immigration advisor, you do not have the right to give immigration advice. So we are not going to answer questions about your specific visa question for you. We can just talk about visas in more of a general term. Right, I want to make that very clear. We are not registered immigration advisor, and to be fair, we only know about the visa that we got. That's pretty much it. So we've done a little bit of digging, and we go through like basically the 8 or 9 most popular visa options. So we can just give you some information about that, and you guys know where to get started. But obviously, there's much more than that. So let's go through them one by one.
Yeah, so the first visa that probably most people come on in New Zealand is the visitor visa.
All right, so the visitor visa is the most popular type of visa in New Zealand. This is the visa that allows you to come to New Zealand. Usually it's around 3 months, but if you're from the UK or something like that, you can go up to 6 months and just visit New Zealand. This does not allow you to work. This does not allow you to work for accommodation or in otherwise called WWOOFing. This does not allow you to come to represent a business, to come with samples, to showcase some samples to prospect company. This does not allow you to come to New Zealand to actually look for a job with CVs and everything. You cannot do any of that. It's just for your holiday. And for the most part, you basically just come in with your passport for most countries. So obviously you have to look if you are one of the visa-less country, but the visitor visa is basically you enter. I mean, for example, I'm from France originally with my European Union passport. I just literally show up and they stamp it and in you go. That is what the visitor visa is.
All right, so another one is the working holiday visa.
So I think that amongst our readers and amongst you guys, it's probably the most popular work visa in New Zealand. So the working holiday visa allows people from selected countries between 18 to 30 years old, some countries 35, to come to New Zealand, work and travel for about 12 months. Some countries can do 24, some countries can only do 6 months. Now, working and traveling, there is a bit of a caveat right here, which means that you need to be coming to New Zealand for holiday purposes mainly and working just to support your holiday. So work should not be the main concern of the main purpose of your trip, right? It should be the secondary purpose only. It's a visa which is rather cheap to get and rather easy to get. It's an all online process. It takes only about a week or two to be approved. And some visas have quotas, which means that there is only about, let's say, from Mexico, I think it's about 1,000 people. So you only have 1,000 people that can get that visa every year. So as soon as the visa is released on the date, you need to absolutely apply it straight away. It literally can be gone in matters of minutes. So you need to time yourself very carefully. Now, there's a really good website for that. It's called workingholidayNewzealand.com. So it's workingholidayNewzealand.com, where you can find all those information. You can even get reminders for when the quota is going to open and all those kind of things. So it's quite handy and it's totally free. So you may want to check that out.
Yep. So another one is the skilled migrant visa.
The skilled migrant visa. So New Zealand, if New Zealand deemed that the skills that you are bringing to New Zealand will help it grow its economy, it may give you a skilled migrant visa and allow you to work in the country. That's basically how it works. It's a lengthy and very expensive process. Be ready for a lot of paperwork, some medical checks, and a lot of fees. And this is probably the visa where most people use an actual immigration advisor. It's like a lawyer. It costs a lot of money, but that basically makes the process easier.
Okay, there's also the long-term skill shortage list visa.
So now New Zealand has a list of long-term skill shortage in the country. That means that, and I'm going to take an example. I don't know if that's the case. It's just a random example. Let's say that New Zealand really needs plumber. We don't have any more plumber and there are leaks everywhere, especially around where we live. Leaks everywhere. Well, at this point, that's an inside joke right here. So at this point, New Zealand is going to put the plumbing skills on its skill shortage list, and basically expedite all the application that will arrive with this kind of visas for people which are actually plumber. They're like, we really need plumber in the country, so we're going to be making it faster, easier, cheaper for a plumber to come to the country. That's what the shortage skill list visa is.
Yeah, there's also the entrepreneur visa.
So now for entrepreneur visa is that if you come to New Zealand, you start your own business, so and you run it successfully for at least 6 months, then you can start applying for that visa. It's a rather hard visa to get, and it usually means that you have to have had another visa before that allows you to come to New Zealand, work, and start your business first.
All right. So there's also the employee of relocating business visa.
So let's take an example, which is probably not going to happen again, but let's say that Google have enough of the US and they're like, you know what, we don't want to be in the US anymore. We want to relocate our company to New Zealand. If they do that and they come here and you are an essential employee of Google, you are able to apply for an employee relocation visa and help Google run in New Zealand. But that's not happening anytime soon.
But
let's say
they would need that visa in this situation.
Yes.
Okay, finally, the last one we'll talk about in this video is the Australian resident visa.
So New Zealand and Australia have really good relationship, and so for this reason, Australians basically can come to New Zealand rather easily, and they just have their own little categories right here. That's pretty much it. Now there are much more types of visas around. There are investors visa if you come in New Zealand with like 3 million or more and gonna invest that. There is also visas for talent. So let's say you are Rihanna and you're going to do a show here in New Zealand, you can get a visa, just those kind of things. But that's basically an overview of what your options are. But
the obvious place to go for any immigration questions is Immigration New Zealand. Just Google them. You'll find their website pretty easily. And that's basically the best place to go with all the visas that you can get for New Zealand.
Here you go. All right, any questions, put them below. Any follow-up questions, put them in the comments. And we're here every single week to answer that for you.
Awesome.
All right, let's have a quick look at the live chat. It's very annoying that I can't... you guys are like chit-chatting for hours, and I just can't be part of it. I don't like that. I feel like left out. It's not nice. But I really like the fact that there is plenty of people chit-chatting together, though. I feel like we...
there's some people making friends, so that's pretty cool. One of them said that they were making some friends.
Oh, I like it, guys. Cool. Just exchange your contact details.
Yeah.
Good morning, Luciana. Good morning. There was someone else that I saw popping up. I'm sorry if I didn't say hi to you, but... good morning, everybody. Good morning. Where is it? Oh, Natalia, that's been a while. Luciana quickly asked, which cruise do you recommend to do in Milford Sound from Queenstown? The best coach and cruise, not too much full of people. Luciana, they're all full of people.
They are, yeah. The best way to go for the quietest cruise in Milford Sound is to actually not take a bus, is to actually make your way down there yourself, whether that is, by car or camper van, maybe meet some people on one of our backpacking Facebook groups. And if you go to one of the later, like late afternoon sailings or early morning sailings, these are the two quietest times where you'll actually feel like you get the whole boat to yourself. But if you join the tour buses, they all get to Milford Sound all at the same time, use around the same sort of selection of boats. So that is I think it's going to be really hard to avoid not being surrounded by people if you are taking one of the buses down from Queenstown.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, I'm afraid. But alternatively, if you do want a bit of a quieter experience in the Fiordland National Park in terms of taking a cruise, then consider doing Doubtful Sound. That's got far less boats over there, and that's a full day, like it would be from Queenstown. It's a full day, but that would be quieter as well.
Cool. Now, Leanne is asking, she wants to swim with dolphins in Paihia, but only if it's done ethically. But you can't find any information about it. So if you watch our videos, we've swim with dolphins multiple times in multiple areas. Now, one of the things that New Zealand does is that you need to have a DOC, which is Department of Conservation certification.
Conservation.
You guys are having conversation and the dog is doing conservation. Whew, it's a hard morning today.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you want to be able to operate as an operator and actually get people to swim with dolphins, you need to abide by certain rules that the Department of Conservation actually sets. You need to have the certification and they check that very often. So yes, it is ethically done. And you will find that actually quite often. And you see that in our videos, actually. We sometimes find pods of dolphins where we could be swimming, but then they check them out first to see if there is no babies or anything like that.
And also to see if the dolphins stay around the boat. If the dolphins are not interested in the boat and they swim away, then the boat won't go and chase them. They'll just go and try and find some other dolphins. They don't like harass the dolphins the whole time.
So you'll see that we go through the process. So make sure to check out our videos and you see how it is done. And honestly, it is one of the most respectful kind of wildlife experience I've done in all my years of travel. So definitely, you should be good to go.
New Zealand does have a big emphasis on conservation, and they do really care about their local wildlife and stuff. So if you're wanting to do wildlife activities, usually it is pretty ethical.
Yeah, the two people are making friends. It's Federico and Yosoyokta. So yeah, guys, go travel together. If you guys go travel together or meet up in New Zealand, make sure you send us a picture. That's gonna make us happy. I like receiving pictures from you guys. Okay, cool. I think I caught up on the question. If I didn't catch up on the question, make sure that in the live chat, since the live chat doesn't work so well today, you type at BackpackerGuide.NZ, so it's bright and orange and I can't miss it. That'd be lovely from you guys. All right, cool. Let's go over questions again. So Crossbones, I know you're around. Say hi, Crossbones. You send us a question. Do you want to read it?
For sure. And this is a long question. Okay, so on YouTube, Crossbones asked, "Hey guys, I've got a question. A friend of mine and I are going to New Zealand in July this year. We are planning to work for 10 months, then travel 2 months all over New Zealand. So we are looking for a city to work and live in for these 10 months. We are currently playing table tennis, so we are bound to cities with clubs. These are the options: Whangarei, Tauranga, and Wellington. So my question is, which of these cities is the best for finding a job and also is cheap for renting apartments? I would appreciate it so much if you guys could answer my question."
So much. All right. Cool. So basically, Crossbones wants us to compare work and living opportunities in Whangarei, Wellington, and Tauranga. All right. So there are 3 cities on the north island of New Zealand, and they're actually 3 pretty cool cities. Let's be honest. It's not. There is no bummer right here. So here's where they are. This one is Whangarei. This one is Tauranga, and this one here is Wellington. Now, if we start straight away with the cost of living, here's how we would rank the places. Wellington will be by far the most expensive place for cost of living. It actually currently has rent more expensive than Auckland has, which Auckland has always been the most expensive city in the country. So Wellington is really on the rise. So cost of living, this will be the most expensive city to spend some time in, especially since you want to stay 10 months there. Now the second most expensive will be Tauranga. Because Tauranga is kind of a big city, kind of developing and everything. But if you do stay in, like long-termers in hostels, for example, which is pretty cool to do, especially in Tauranga, there's quite a bunch of hostels that we like a lot. We see you, Pacific Coast Lodge. So that would be the second one. And the cheapest one will be Whangarei, which is a little bit north of Auckland. So that's basically how we would rank them. Now, weather-wise, because we see weather is of prime importance if you're spending 10 months somewhere, right?
Yeah.
How would you rank them?
Yeah, so in terms of the warmest weather and probably the most sunniest days, Whangarei in the north is the warmest place. That's because actually the north of New Zealand is closer to the equator. Then after that, following that same logic, then Tauranga is pretty good, and it's also on the coast as well. So it's got nice, nice warm weather by the sea. And then finally, Wellington is the coldest out of the 3, and also Wellington is renowned for being super windy. So be prepared for very changeable weather. It rains on and off all the time. It's super windy, but it's slightly colder temperatures compared to the north.
All right, now job-wise, obviously you're going to want to find a job since you're going to be here for 10 months. Obviously, you know, you need to make a living at some point. Job-wise, your best bet to get some job will be Tauranga. There is really plenty of job opportunities, especially a ton of seasonal jobs. They're actually underpaying pretty well. On top of it, Tauranga has plenty of working hostels, which means if you stay in a hostel, they find you a job. It's just so easy. It relieves this entire stress from your trip. So I do personally really like that. Now, second will be Wellington with heaps of cafe, retails. And if you look at some of our videos that we have, we actually do talk about all the different jobs opportunities in Wellington. So Wellington will be your second best bet for jobs. And then your last best bet for job will be Whangarei, because in Whangarei, yes, there are plenty of jobs available, but there is also a lot of people, because it's so close to Auckland, there is a lot of people commuting and sometimes going to work there. So it's pretty cool. It's you know, you get choices everywhere. Now, as per traveling out, what are your best bets?
Well, as you can see from the position of Tauranga, that's actually a really good place to base yourself if you want to explore more of the North Island. You can easily get to the Gisborne region, which is this bit right here, or also known as the East Cape, and that has loads of really lovely beaches. There's some awesome road trips that you can do from over there. Also, you can get to the central North Island, so that's places like Taupo and Rotorua, and that has a lot of really awesome activities to do around there as well. Like there's geothermal areas, there's Maori culture, there's lots of adventure activities like skydiving and bungee jumping. So that's all accessible in the center. And then it's not really too far to go to Auckland if you want to experience that big city life, or, you know, just check out what Auckland's all about. Then that's not too far as well. And then on the side is the Coromandel, which again has lovely beaches, hot water beach, so you can make your own little hot pool in the sand, which is really cool.
In short, you are super well connected if you're in Tauranga.
Yeah. So then second on my list would be Whangarei, because north of Whangarei is really a lot to explore in the Northland region. Again, we're thinking about the beaches and the coast as well. There's the Bay of Islands where you can go and do a lot of water activities. And also you have access to Auckland as well, which we've already gone over. And then finally on the list, where you're probably a little bit more out of the way of everything, is Wellington. Obviously you can do some day trips out to the northern regions of Wellington. For instance, there's the Kapiti Coast, there's the Wairarapa, and there's like some wine regions around here. So you can go to those places, but getting over to the South Island usually requires quite a long ferry trip, and just you're a little bit more stuck in Wellington if you are based there. So yeah,
definitely. And as per things to do, there is quite a lot of things to do everywhere. You know, Wellington is very much of a city life, so you get the awesome cafes, bars, nightlife. You also get amazing museum like the Te Papa Museum. You can also go visit the Weta Caves. There is a few good hikes as well, where you have a couple of parks around. And if you do have your own car, you can make your way to Cape Palliser, which is really awesome. So there is quite a few fun things to do here. In Tauranga, well, there is obviously the massive bays. You can go swim with dolphins. You can climb the mount. So in Mount Maganui, that's the posh suburb of Tauranga, if you want to try that out. And you can escape out of Tauranga quite easily to go to the Karanga Heike Gorge, to go do some kayaking around. And, you know, as we mentioned, like a lot of things to escape. And in Whangarei, you can explore the whole Northland in only a short drive, which is really amazing. There is heaps to do. Paria, the Bay of Island, 144 islands dotting the beautiful bay, and dolphin swimming as well, skydiving. Just, it's really awesome. And in Whangarei itself, you get plenty of amazing hikes. You get the Whangarei Falls, and you also get some conservation centers like the Kiwi North, where you actually kind of heal kiwi. I mean, you don't, you know, someone heals the kiwi and you can check them out. But yeah, so there is plenty of things to do, and we hope that this will help you compare those three different cities. They all have pros and cons, but hopefully with what we give you, you and your friend can actually sit down, cross the bones. I think your real name is Paul. But you and your friend can sit down and actually have a discussion and see which one is the best for you.
And when we do the rebroadcast of this video, we'll make sure to put some links in the description below, so we sort of compare all those cities in the links as well. And if you do find any of our questions useful, make sure to give this video a cheeky like, subscribe if you're new here and want to see more videos about New Zealand, because we do this every single week and we release all our questions throughout the week, every single day.
Cool. All right. So going through the live chat quickly, I saw, and I'm sorry again that I'm not as active as usual on the live chat. It just doesn't pop out. Leon, I cannot say your name, Leon. I'm so sorry. Leon is asking about being a vegetarian in New Zealand. Is it easy? We actually only eat meat once or twice a week, and we find that very, very easy. Meat is actually very expensive, so fruit and vegetables are going to be usually a little bit cheaper. And almost every single restaurant will have a vegetarian option. Even some burger joints will actually have vegetarian options.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kiwis themselves that are actually vegetarian. So a lot of restaurants and places do cater to vegetarians too.
Yeah.
I did also see a question about comparing the luge between Queenstown and Rotorua and which one is most fun. I would say Rotorua is the most fun. Yeah, Rotorua has 3 types of tracks you can do, whereas Queenstown only has 2. And the Rotorua tracks, there are some pretty crazy drops in some places, and basically the luge tracks cover a lot more area as well. So for us, it's a no-brainer. Go for Rotorua.
Yeah. There was another question. Graham was asking about cool food stop in New Zealand. Graham, we did answer this very question a few weeks ago. It was actually not me, not Laura. It was I was here with a friend of mine called Leo, and we go through all of that. So if you actually go on the channel and you look at the food playlist, we actually have a question on that, and we go through the whole country with our favorite food stop along the way. It's a really cool video. So definitely check this one out.
Yeah.
Just because right now, well, we gonna repeat just the same thing.
Yeah. Someone also asked, sorry, I was just going to say, someone also asked about where to sell their photographs as a photographer in New Zealand. To be honest, in New Zealand, it's super competitive. Just imagine all these beautiful landscapes. That's why so many photographers come here. And that it's very competitive. But I mean, you could always give Tourism New Zealand a try if you want to sell your photos to those guys. But bear in mind that they do get a lot of offers. So we've been
taking pictures for years now, and we've been doing that. We take them basically for on the website only, and we never sold any. So it's never been a focus of ours. So we don't really have much information, but we do have some photographer friends. But they do that mostly as a hobby. They sell pictures. Maybe
they usually build their Instagram accounts until they have thousands of followers, and then at that point they can start approaching regional tourism organizations, and basically tourism organizations are the ones to head for if you're taking tourism photographs. But do remember that if you're just taking your generic landscape photos, that's kind of been done in New Zealand now. So you really need to do something to stand out.
Okay, and Leon is actually being nice enough to actually tell me how to pronounce her name. I like it. Thank you so much, Leon. Next time you guys ask questions, make sure you tell us how to pronounce your name because it's so hard for us. And good morning, Jack. Thank you very much for telling us we are agreed. You say great, but that's funny. Okay, I'll read those things afterward. But I see the question right here. It is on YouTube somewhere. I need to find it again. Someone's asking about mountain biking. I want to read that and do a full one. Yeah. Someone's asking about mountain biking. Brendan, where are you?
It was quite far up.
It's Brendan 101, I know.
It was quite...
Oh, yeah, cool. So Brendan 101 on YouTube is asking, I need tips about mountain biking in New Zealand. What are the best places and region? Cool. All right. So mountain biking is actually really popular in New Zealand. It is such a major hobby. In fact, it's that big of a hobby that the newest Great Walk that they're actually opening in the south near Punaikaiki, which is going to be Great Walk number 10, will be a dual track, meaning that it's going to be both hiking and mountain biking. So you will be able to do multi-day mountain biking in a Great Walk facility like trail, which is so epic. I mean, it's amazing. So that's straight away, if you're going to be in New Zealand, when the Great Walk number 10 is going to open, that will be on top of my list for sure.
Yeah.
Another track that we did really like, and if you want to check out the video about it, was the Timber Trail.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We loved the Timber Trail. I cannot stress enough how amazing was this place.
Yeah.
The lodge in between the 2 days is really awesome, and you search in far away locations.
So the Timber Trail's located on the North Island, and that's on the western side of Lake Taupo in the Puriroa Forest.
Wow, that's a nice pronunciation.
Yeah.
Cool. Now let's talk a little bit about the main regions and what they offer for mountain biking. So the main region, the main one and the one you're going to arrive in is Auckland. Now Auckland has actually multiple options for mountain biking, and sorry about that. One of the most popular one is the Wood Hill Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you been there?
I haven't been there, but I do know that it is a full like actual mountain biking park. So if you are really into your downhill mountain biking, doing all those like crazy jumps and stuff like that, that Wood Hill Forest is the go-to place for Auckland.
Now, if you want something a little bit different, you can also head onto the ferry and head to Waiheke Island, which is probably the most popular island off the coast of Auckland, basically in the Hauraki Gulf. And there on Waiheke Island, it's really awesome to travel by bike. You can actually rent bikes over there if you want. And if you do want some proper mountain biking, they have the Rajiahua Hill, where there are some proper mountain biking tracks as well.
Sweet.
Now around the Bay, around the Bay of Plenty, you get some towns like Rotorua, for example.
Yep, so Rotorua is probably one of the most famous towns to go to if you really are into downhill mountain biking. They have the gondola, which goes up into the forest, and they have like downhill tracks. They hold a festival there every year called Crankworks.
Good video about that as well.
If you know anything about mountain biking, that you know that Crankworks is a huge international festival. So yeah, they host that over there in Rotorua. There's also the Redwoods Forests, which that has several mountain biking tracks through the California Redwoods, which is really awesome to do as well. Yeah. And yeah, on top of that, there's really a lot of mountain biking to do around Rotorua. So if you are looking for a good challenge, that is an awesome place to go.
Cool. And still in the Bay of Plenty, you get Whakatane, which has a really nice coastal mountain biking trail. It's literally just a very easy trail. You can check out the video on the channel as well. We'll link it below. And now moving on towards Gisborne, there is something called the Motu Trail. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that is, the main base for the Motu Trails is Opotiki, which just sits on the edge of the Bay of Plenty region and the Gisborne region. And there's 3 different bike trails that you can either do individually if you only have a day to do so, or you can link them all together. We actually did one of the trails, the Dunes Trail, and that was a really scenic one alongside the coast. Like it suggests, on the sand dunes, but you aren't riding on sand, just to make that clear. It's a really good track.
You don't need the fat tires.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we definitely have some more information on the Motu Trails on BackpackerGuide.NZ, so we'll make sure to link that in the description below in the rebroadcast.
Cool. Now moving on to Waikato, so right in the center of the North Island. What about in Taupo? They have the Craters of the Moon.
So Taupo is another place where mountain biking is huge. The Craters of the Moon Mountain Bike Park, or Craters, the locals just call it Craters. We actually have another video on the Craters Mountain Bike Park as well, and you have loads of different trails of various different difficulties to do, and there's a whole map at the entrance so you can pick your trail, so that's a really awesome one to do as well. But you can also do some if you want to do a bit more of a scenic bike trail, then there's alongside the Waikato River to Hooker Falls, for instance. There's bike trails going down the Waikato River over in that area too, which is also pretty darn awesome.
Now moving on to the South Island around Nelson, it's also a huge mountain biking area. In fact, there are 3 mountain biking kind of areas that you can access within an easy ride from the city center of Nelson, which is quite amazing. So now the name of those areas, I'm going to give them to you. I need to read them though. So those areas, you get the Charlands Trails, Richmond Hills, and Codgen Mountain Bike Park. But one of the best thing in the Nelson area for mountain biking, or just actually casual biking, but Nelson is really popular for some wines and orchards and all of that. So you get the Great Taste Trail, which is 175 kilometers long, and then you can ride along in between all those awesome areas, and you can stop at orchards or stop at wineries and kind of booze and eat, and that's the best thing about mountain biking, isn't it?
Mountain biking does get paired with eating a lot in New Zealand as well. You'll find a lot of trails in wine regions, so you can go from vineyard to vineyard, especially in Marlborough, in Hawke's Bay. Basically, wherever there's multiple wineries and vineyards, there'll always be a bike hire available.
All right, so moving on down south on North Island, around Dunedin, you get Signal Hill, which is a mountain biking trail that's super popular.
Yeah.
Extremely popular area. And there are obviously other mountain biking area around Dunedin.
Yeah.
Now, around Queenstown, the adventure capital of New Zealand, obviously there is heaps of mountain biking available over there. Anything that springs to mind for you?
So obviously there's a lot of downhill mountain biking that you can do because Queenstown has another, well, there's a Skyline gondola over there as well. So you can take the gondola up and bike your way back down to the bottom again. There's also some pretty easy going bike trails along the rivers. So there's like they're called the Queenstown trails, that can take you by bike to various vineyards in the Otago region. And there's a lot of bike tour companies in Queenstown, which can actually take you to some pretty exclusive spots as well.
Yeah.
So they can take you in a shuttle up to some really awesome mountain biking hills. So make sure to inquire with some mountain biking companies around Queenstown if you really want to go like on an epic mission somewhere.
Actually, I do remember one that I was so impressed by. That was Welcome Rocks.
Oh,
Welcome
yeah,
Rock. That's an amazing. The guy, actually, this one guy that built all those tracks by himself. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nearby Queenstown. It's between Queenstown and Southland.
Yeah, it's about an hour's, 45 minutes south of Queenstown. Yeah.
And there is also some mountain biking areas around Invercargill and Bluff, which are all the way at the bottom of the South End. And there is plenty in between. Again, on the West Coast, there is going to be this opening of the 10th Great Walk very soon, actually, with mountain biking tracks in there as well. So basically, mountain biking in New Zealand, it's available everywhere, and it's awesome everywhere.
It's almost as common as walks. So wherever you go, you'll probably find a mountain biking track really nearby.
Yeah, it's really, really, really awesome. So yeah, thank you very much for the question. Graham. Was it Graham? No, that was Brandon. Brandon 101.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. If you guys like this video, please hit like and subscribe. That really helps us out a lot. And on top of that, if you do have any follow-up questions, put them in the comment below. We're here to help, aren't we?
I think
we do. We do. When the live chat works, we're even here to help even more. All right, moving on. Let's see. I don't think I see any extra question here. So we're going to be moving on to the question that you guys sent us beforehand. And we've done this one as well. Oh, Laura Perez.
I know she's Laura.
Here. No, sorry. Laura is here. Laura, okay. Say hi. I know you're still here. We have your question. All right, and let's go about it. So on Facebook, Laura Perez asked, is the work and holiday visa suitable with any activity with platform like WWOOF and Workaway? I'd like to spend some months doing some volunteering, but I don't know if it can be considered as a job because I stay in a house for free. So Laura, do you want to get started? What is WWOOFing and what is Workaway?
Let's start with what exactly is WWOOF and Workaway. So both of them, WWOOF and Workaway, are online platforms to basically connect people that want to find people to work on farms or do some babysitting for them or do basically any home projects. They go onto this WWOOF or Workaway website and look for people to come and work for them for the woofers to get free accommodation and usually free food, but that's not always the case. So always make sure to ask what you're getting in return for your work. And then on the other side of that, the people that are, traveling around New Zealand, the people that actually are looking for these job opportunities, they can go onto these websites and see all the listings of all the working for accommodation opportunities on those websites. So just to make things clear in terms of terminology, usually the people doing the volunteering, they are called woofers, even if they're doing Workaway. In New Zealand, it's just a generic term to say like someone that's doing volunteering is a woofer. And then the people that are like the hosts, we usually just call them the woofing hosts. So just to make things easier when we're talking. But we do have links on both of like what it's like to use Workaway and WWOOF on BackpackerGuide.NZ. So we'll make sure to link that afterwards. But do you want to explain more about those?
So now for WWOOFing and Workaway, yes, it is considered as work in New Zealand, and no, you cannot do that on a visitor's visa. You can only do that on a working visa. So you can be working holiday, it can be work visa, whatever, but it has to be a work visa to be able to do WWOOFing, working for accommodation. What you're getting in return, which is accommodation and food or whatever you're getting, it is considers as a payment, right? So your employer will have to pay taxes on that. So if the value of the payment is estimated to be like, let's say $1,000, your employer will have to pay the employee taxes on this $1,000. It's not something you have to do, but it has to be done. So that means that you do have to have a contract with your host. It can be something very simple, like one sheet of paper kind of signed. It can be a very, very, very simple type contract, but it is very important that you have done that sorted. Okay. So there has been a big crackdown on those kind of things lately. You've got to know that. So you actually do need to abide by those rules, because if you do not, and if you do that without having the proper work visa, you can be expelled from New Zealand. So on a working holiday visa, yes, you can definitely do woofing. Now, does it count as your amount of time working? Let's say you're from a country that can only work for 6 months on a working holiday visa. Yes, it will count as your amount of working. This is not considered as volunteering. If you're doing volunteering, you get absolutely nothing in return, other than good karma, obviously.
Yeah.
And good karma is not taxed just yet. It probably will be taxed soon. Let's be honest, karma will have to be taxed at some point. They really want to tax everything. But yeah, so if you actually are doing volunteering, and if you are calling that volunteering, you get nothing in exchange. You're not getting accommodation. You're not getting any food. Okay, so that's the thing, that's the difference, and what gets people really much confused, right? So you cannot call it like kind of volunteering on farms and everything. And no, if they host you, you get the payment. Not that, at least, I mean, it's not necessarily how we see it, but it's how it is seen on the legal kind of standpoint. So it's really important to be well informed about those kind of things, just because there are a lot of abuse, right? There are actually companies that use that very, very much, and they have like half of their workforce is woofers, and so obviously that's why the government is trying to crack down on that, because, well, as a woofer, you do have right as well, but usually you're less educated on what is your right and everything, right? Now, to do some woofing is actually it's really fun. I personally really love it. So don't let this chat kind of tell you otherwise, right? It's so much fun to do woofing. You basically get to live like a local, and very often when we are asked what is the best way to actually live and meet locals and everything, we actually talk about woofing, because you literally live with them. You're going to be part of the family, especially if it's on a farm. So you're going to eat and live with them, and do, if they go on a trip for a weekend and everything, they usually take you with them. You're going to spend time with the kids. It's really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And also a lot of them usually let their woofers borrow their car and stuff, so you can definitely access a lot of really cool places from where your big day in Mount Cook, that you could possibly do. So yeah, definitely stick with that. That's definitely good enough.
Yeah. Don't add anything else. You don't even have time to eat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Hey Laura, welcome on board. Actually, we literally just finished answering your questions, so I hope you got that. Otherwise, rewind
you'll have to rewind.
Like
minutes.
10 minutes, but yeah. All right, cool. So now Brandon is from Canada. If you remember, he was telling us how cold it was last week. Yeah, and I hated it. I hated how cold it gets in Quebec, my friends. I hated it. But this brings me to a question that we received on YouTube by Chevron, and Chevron asks us, "Hey guys, love the vids. Thank you. We love you. I'm traveling on a working holiday visa for 2 years and wondering what are the sort of lowest temperature ranges in New Zealand?" All right. How cold does it get in New Zealand? Well, we do have Brandon right now from Canada that's going to laugh at us, but for us, it is cold.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing you need to know is that it gets cold in New Zealand in winter, and winter in New Zealand is June, July, and May?
August.
I don't know why I wrote May. June, July, and August. And so the highest temperature in winter in New Zealand are between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, which are between 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the lowest temperatures can be found in the South Island mountain ranges, and that can be down to
minus 10 degrees Celsius, or that's minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Minus 10 Celsius.
Yeah.
I find that absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, but bearing in mind that is in the mountainous areas of the South Island. And just so you know that the temperatures are quite varied across New Zealand. So the further north you go, the warmer the temperatures tend to be. And the further south you go, the colder it gets. So, so in terms of snow and frost and such in winter. Snow usually just tends to hang around the mountainous areas. So that might be on the Southern Alps of the South Island or on the North Island volcanoes. And very rarely the snow reaches into the towns and cities. And that's mainly because New Zealand is, it's islands. So it has mostly a maritime climate where the ocean affects the weather. And that usually means that the snow doesn't get the lowland areas. And frost can happen anywhere.
Pretty much anywhere, yeah.
Yeah, but it usually tends to be obviously around the colder areas, and frost only happens if it is a still night with no wind. And most nights in New Zealand, it's pretty windy. So, yeah.
Cool. So now, the main thing that you're going to be the main thing that you're going to experience is temperature that feels much colder than what they are, because New Zealand is a rather windy country. In fact, we have the windiest city in the world, which is Wellington. And so if it's like, let's say 0 degrees and you have quite a big breeze, it can feel like minus 10 or 20. It can feel really, really cold. But that means that you literally just have to put a rain jacket on to block the wind, and instantly you're going to be much, much, much warmer. You don't necessarily need those really thick clothes like you will need in Canada or Quebec, those big furry stuff. You don't necessarily need that all the time unless you head to the ski fields. Now, the main thing that you're going to experience in winter is rain. Okay, a lot of people kind of forget to think about the rain in winter rather than just think about the cold. Right? It does rain much, much more in winter than it does rain during the rest of the year, and so the rainfalls in New Zealand regions can range between 600 millimeters to 1,600 millimeters throughout the year. So that is a lot of rain. So rain jacket is definitely very important, and the difference you're going to find with weather between winter and summer is going to be the amount of rain more than the cold temperature, because again, minus 10, yes, it is cold. To us, we think it's really, really cold, but it's not as cold as some regions that you can think of, especially for a country like New Zealand, which is so close to Antarctica.
Yeah. So in terms of extreme weather scenarios, that doesn't really affect New Zealand so much. The only extreme weather that may slightly influence New Zealand is any tropical cyclones that are happening further north in the South Pacific. They may have that, that may bring a few stronger winds to New Zealand at sometimes or heavy rain, but that it's usually nothing devastating and nothing that you really need to worry about. But shall we move on to where to avoid? If you...
We were thinking, you may want to avoid the bad weather. If you ask this question, that may mean that you don't like winter and you may want to avoid it. So if you want to avoid the bad weather, what can you do?
So if you want to get to the sunniest and warmest places during winter, then the best thing you can do is head to Northland, which is the very northern region of New Zealand. And that's, again, because it's closer to the equator. So usually it's a little bit warmer up there and it has a bit of a subtropical climate.
Your other options will be to head to the coast. New Zealand has, thousands and thousands of kilometers of coastline. And when you close the water to the ocean, basically, it gets almost instantly warmer. So if you settle in a coastal town, which, most towns are coastal, you should be all good. Some of the towns which are very much inland, like Queenstown, for example, gets much colder than what a place like, even just on the same kind of line on Dunedin, for example, it'd be almost instantly warmer. So that can be a good option for you if you're trying to avoid the cold winter in New Zealand. Now, we hope that was really useful. I know that it's a question like weather is something that really worries a lot of people. So I hope that this helps you kind of put things in perspective. If you do have any follow-up questions of your own, put them in the comment below and we get to it on the next live session. Now we're going to take the time to look at the live chat a little bit because we have Kirsten. Do you remember that's the guy that's going to be running the whole country? So I think you should be in New Zealand now, right? Because you said last week you were coming in a few days.
Maybe he's running on his phone right now.
Maybe you're running and watching us. That would be really cool. Graham is asking if the weather is going to be better than in Scotland in March. I have no idea. I haven't been to Scotland, but I've watched a lot of movies and it looks like it's mudland in Scotland. So.
Yeah, I think in March time, New Zealand would have better weather than Scotland. March is toward the end of just the end of summer. So it still has kind of warm days, usually not too rainy or anything, just as you're getting into March. And I suppose it would... You always think of if you're comparing the UK and New Zealand, you always just compare they're always the opposite.
Yeah.
So if it's good in New Zealand, it's probably really bad in the UK.
But if it's good in the UK, it's never good in the UK. Sorry.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap. You okay? Oh, snap. Anyway, cool. You guys, we still have like quite a few minutes. Do you guys want to do some quick fire questions? Is there anything that you guys want to know on the live chat, or move on to another question that we have right here? Oh, Graham is saying it's cold, wet, and windy right now in Scotland. Well,
it's actually a beautiful day here.
Yeah,
in New
it's actually
Zealand,
gorgeous. So here you go. Laura is a Spanish girl in Edinburgh. Do you speak Spanish in Edinburgh? What?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, since you guys don't have much question, what about we do something fun? What about we talk about bars and party? Where do you guys?
Bars and party.
Yeah. Where can you guys find us drinking on the weekend? Aha. All right. Cool. So on Facebook we had Antonio. He asked us which is the best backpacker bar in Auckland, best nights, etc.
All right.
All right, cool. So there are heaps of bars in Auckland, and like bars is kind of like the industry that close and open all the time. So this is, as of today, what are the bars that you can have found us hanging out at?
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Laura?
I'll start with the backpacker bars in Auckland. So the first one that springs to mind is Havana Joe's, which is situated just next to the base hostel, literally on a street just off Queen Street, which is the main street of Auckland. And if you're on that main street, you'll easily be able to get to Havana Joe's. And that is like the backpacker bar of Auckland. It has like really good drinks deals. It's open till like 4 a.m. in the morning. So if you're looking to do some late night partying and dancing, that is the go-to. But I'm gonna go with the backpacker bars because they're literally the only ones I know about. So another one in the base hostel, actually, on like, I don't know, the 6th floor or something crazy like that, is Hello Sunshine. And that is sort of your pre-party bar. So it's a rooftop bar. You get awesome views of the Sky Tower. They do some live entertainment. They do some competitions and stuff like that, and awesome food and drink deals. So that's in the base hostel, and they're open till about 10 p.m., I think. And then usually the party ends up going down to Havana Joe's from there.
Another backpacker bar, you get Bungalow 8. That's on the Viaduct in Auckland. If you don't know where that is just yet, well, wait until you're in Auckland and then you'll know, because it's kind of unmissable. It's a bar which is rather cheap, so it's pretty good for backpackers. And on top of it, they do travel kind of meeting parties. I think it's about once a month, which is quite cool, where you can go over there. We did show up quite a few times there. And yeah, you get to meet travelers from all around the world and maybe find some travel buddies. So it's a pretty cool bar to go to. So it's called Bungalow 8. Completely on the other side of town, there is a suburb called Ponsonby. Ponsonby is a bit more of a posh and pretty much kind of like a high place and everything like that. But there is a bar called Chapel over there, which is really fun. There is some fun nights over there as well. The whole kind of ambience of the bar is really cool. And along the strip on Ponsonby, you have quite a lot of bars as well. So you can go to Cuba for, I think it's called Cuba. Something like that. Anyway, there is a kind of a Latino style kind of bar as well that I do really like. So there is quite a few bars. Usually I don't remember the names because it's late at night, and because beers have been poured. Now we're going back to the Viaduct. There is O'Hagan's, which is an Irish pub. Do you guys know what an Irish pub is? If you don't, go to O'Hagan's and figure it out. Everybody likes a good Irish pub. It's pretty simple. Music is a little bit too loud. The beer is a little bit too strong, and everybody's always happy. Can you delete that comment? There's a spammer. Just click on the side, no?
Yeah, it doesn't come up with anything.
Oh god, the whole YouTube chat is all broken.
The live chat's just like bugged today.
We are attacked by spammers. Okay, another one on the Viaduct is called Danny Doolan's. Now that's the epidemic like bar that you're gonna find the most action late at night. Now it's because around the midnight o'clock, they actually have the live band coming out, and everybody crams in this very small bar. The drinks are rather cheap. The music is super loud. It is an awesome place. I think at least 3/4 of my nights in Auckland have finished in Danny Doolan's. It is such an epic bar to actually finish there. The live band plays always the exact same song. It's a lot of fun, just because it kind of like creates your late night routine, which is always cool. All right. Soul is also another bar which is on the Viaduct as well. It is kind of I think it's next to Snapdragon, so it's kind of like you get like this whole strip right here with a lot of bars and kind of nights. I personally really like Snapdragon as a bar / nightclub. It's really cool, and they have like a second level. Yeah, they have a terrace and second level over there with DJ and everything. So you have like your kind of bar experience at the bottom if you want, a nightclub experience on top. So it's pretty cool. Now you have to know that if this is a big night in Snapdragon, you will have to pay a cover charge. So yeah. And if you go to Eden Terrace on the complete other side, another suburbs of Auckland, you can find the King's Arms with a lot of live bands as well, a lot of fun drinks. They actually have some good cocktails. There's a cocktail bar not too far from there as well for the ladies, which are super posh. And so, yes, that's another really cool night out. So anyway, all those bars, so Havana Joe's, Hello Sunshine, Bungalow 8, Ponsonby, Chapel, O'Hagan's, Danny Doolan's, Soul, Snapdragon, and the King's Arms. Those should make for an absolutely epic night or two, probably quite a few.
And we do have links again on BackpackerGuide.NZ about the nightlife in Auckland, as well as the best bars in Auckland and all that sort of thing. So make sure to put that in the description in the rebroadcast of this video.
Cool. All right, on the live chat, Leon, God, I cannot say her name. Yeah. Leon is actually about the most ethical, non-zoo-like animal or bird sanctuary. So I think Sanctuary Mountain is a good start.
Yeah, so Sanctuary Mountain has a predator-proof fence around this huge area. It's a mountain covered in forest, and this predator-proof fence basically makes sure that introduced predators like stoats and cats and possums and all that sort of thing can't get into the sanctuary where the birds are, and the birds are all basically free to come and go into the sanctuary as they like. And that's a really nice place to go and have a walk around there and try and spot some birds.
I think I will talk about Ulva Island.
That's my next.
Yeah, definitely have to go there.
Yeah, so Ulva Island, again, that's a pest-free island because it's surrounded by water, and this is just off the coast of Stewart Island, as someone on the live chat is actually telling you about. And that is where you'll probably find the most abundance of birds that, again, they're free to come and go to the island as they please. They're not they're not in captivity there or anything. It's a free island, so that's a really awesome place to go. Make sure you check out our video on that. If you just type in Ulva Island Backpacker Guide on YouTube, then you'll find it easily.
If you want to go to Ulva Island, so basically you have to go to Stewart Island. So you basically base yourself in like Invercargill or Bluff. Then you take a ferry there. You can just do a one-day trip, right? So it's not necessarily, you don't have to rough it too much, or they have some accommodation in Stewart Island in a town called Oban, and you can just stay one night and then head there. But you can definitely go take it's called a Real Journey. So you take Real Journey, it's a ferry. They take you to Stewart Island. Then after you go to Ulva Island, and then you take the ferry back. It's definitely absolutely amazing. We loved it. And we have videos of all of those on the channel. So if you just type those kind of things, or bird sanctuary and all of that. What was the other islands that we really liked on of Picton?
Yeah, so is it called Motu?
Maybe Motu Island.
No, it's called
Motuora.
Motuora, yeah. We always forget that Motutapu Island.
I think it's Motutapu Island. Let me just Google it while you say about that.
So this island is accessible from Picton, which is, if you're taking the ferry from Wellington, the North Island to the South Island, you arrive in Picton. And then from there, there's lots of really awesome boat trips that you can take around what's called the Marlborough Sounds. And within the Marlborough Sounds is this Motuapa Island, which again is a pest-free bird sanctuary. Again, completely ethical. It's just doesn't have introduced pests on there, so the birds have a better environment to thrive on. And yeah, that's another really awesome place to go and check out. And there's a walkway that goes on the island, and halfway along the walkway there's a little sort of watering hole and a few little seats, so you can just sit on the side and see if there's any birds that come to this watering hole. When we were there, that definitely did happen, and we spent the whole time on the island in front of this watering hole so that we could watch the birds.
It's not Motutapu.
Motu.
I can't find it. Damn. Motuara. Yeah, Motuara. Here you go.
Motuara Island.
Sorry,
in the Marlborough Sound.
And the last one I want to mention, the one in Auckland that you can go, and it's absolutely amazing. It's called Tiri Tiri Matangi.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely amazing as a bird sanctuary island. So yeah, definitely worth doing. You take the ferry, same thing. So it's called it's Fuller's, the company that takes you over there, and you just walk around. It's same thing. It's the pest-free island. And you see so many birds.
Yeah.
And we have Motuara Island, Tiritiri Matangi Island,
Ulva
Ulva Island,
Island,
and Sanctuary
Tree
Mountain. All those 4 ones, we do have videos about them. So, Leanne, just go on the channel and watch those ones and see which one you fancy the most, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Leo's here.
Hey, Leo, how are you doing, bro? I just replied to you on Facebook. I was just trying to be sneaky right here. How are you doing, bro? And we have Musty, the Lonely, one up, which asks if I am his dad. Well, you know what? I probably
I
am.
hope not.
Oh, shit. On that one, guys.
I probably am.
On that one, guys, thank you very much for joining us for another one of our live session. That means a lot to see that, so many of you guys actually showed up. Like, there was like 20 of you at some point. It was really awesome. We had Yo Soy Octa and Federico that became friends. Probably going to be traveling together. I want to see some picture of you guys traveling together. We had Leon that was actually planning almost their entire trip with our videos and our website, which is really awesome. We have Brandon, which is in Quebec right now. He's planning really soon a trip to New Zealand. We have Kirsten, which just arrived in New Zealand. Is going to be running around the whole country.
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that? We have Anush, which is planning his honeymoon in New Zealand and is overthinking everything and trying to plan about 20 activities a day, which we love. What else do we have? We had Laura that was asking questions about the woofing around, and that got confused with this Laura right here. And
we have Leanne, who is really concerned about the ethical wildlife activities, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. And he's vegetarian on top of it, so good on you, Leanne. And we had someone that thought I was their dad, which obviously is always awesome.
That is a Q&A for us.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't received that question often, but we like surprises.
Yeah. Oh, and quickly, Graham actually was asking about ferry advice from Wellington to Picton. I'm sorry, Graham, your question was slid by. The live chat has been a pain today, but advice for that, there's 2 companies. Make sure you compare prices. Make sure you book ahead in advance if you're going to be traveling in summer, because it absolutely gets fully booked all the time. And if you do miss your ferry, you're not going to get it back and you have to repay it. So don't miss it for sure. Aside from that, honestly, the crew is doing a fantastic job to help you park it into the ferry. It was the thing that scared us the most, kind of parking a big camper van inside the ferry, but they really help a lot, which is quite cool. They know what they're doing. And that's pretty much it. That's all our tips about that. That trying to get a discount on that is always really hard. Sometimes you get like a 5% off here and there, but that's so rare. So if you're looking for tips into saving money, it's really, really tough. Aside from that, you get some really fantastic views. We personally really like to take the earliest in the morning or the latest in the evening, just because you get sunset and sunrise, and it makes the whole cruise a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
It's not just transport.
It's not just
transport.
Experience.
It's an experience. It's really cool. So yeah. All right. On that note, yes, Shabir. The dad guy is clearly trolling me. I just think it's really funny. So yeah. All right. When can you find us next week?
All right.
Next week, you can find us on YouTube right here at 8 a.m. New Zealand time, which is Saturday at those times. Go for it, Laura.
So in the US, that is Saturday at 2 p.m. EST. That is also 11 a.m. PST. Also in Europe, so UK, France area, that is 7 p.m. on a Saturday evening. And in India, that is 12:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So make sure to join us at those times next week, Saturday or Sunday, depending where you're from. And yeah, make sure you send us all your questions via YouTube in our comments, via Facebook, in our Facebook messages, via our Instagram messages, and on Twitter. And we'll make sure to hit all those questions in the next live video.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
See you later.